Hello everyone, we're here in Bali. I'm hosting the trip for my audience, the Trova trip. Can't believe it's been in the works for like a year already. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about how to do shadow work, why you need it. It's so important, and I don't think there are a lot of good guides on it, and people make it seem very complicated, but it's actually incredibly simple. So basically, what is shadow work? It is trying to figure out the repressed parts of yourself, the shadow side of yourself, and through understanding that we get to know ourselves on a deeper level, and also we're able to accept ourselves. So if you've watched a lot of my videos on my main channel and even this second channel, you would know I'm a psychology graduate, and I always say if you want to understand other people more, you need to understand yourself more, because the only way to be able to understand why other people do certain things is through your own experience and through understanding yourself. And shadow work is one aspect of that. But say hypothetically you just go and you watch these psychology videos and you don't apply anything to yourself, it is actually very hard for you to then understand others. Now, this video is not about others, it is about you, but that's just one of the benefits of shadow work, okay? And in life, it is very important that we are able to understand other people. It will get you further in your career, it will get you more friends, it will make you a more well-rounded and empathetic individual, and many other things. I want to start with a quote by Jung. If you don't know who he is a psychologist, or psychotherapist rather, and he came up with this personality theory. We believe that the human psyche consists of three parts. So we have the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. I'm going to give you a really quick lesson on this. I'm just opening my notes up. Guys, it's so funny, I'm on the trip right now, and this girl said to me, Simone, when I started psychology, I kind of realized I learned all of this from your videos already, and I'm like, here I am telling you my whole degree. Yeah, so the personal unconscious involves all experiences and factors relating to the individual, and the collective unconscious refers to the deeply rooted, archaic, and instinctual responses based on human genetic. Yeah, so the collective is basically like your intuition, your fight or flight, the deeply rooted unconscious primal instincts in us. And then the ego is the concept that we are constantly trying to balance the personal unconscious and the collective unconscious, and that's our ego. So the quote is, until you can make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, which basically means you have no control over yourself. You think you have this illusion of control, but if you don't even know yourself, you're not even directing your life. Shadow work, disclaimer, is very confronting, and we need to hold a lot of grace for ourselves. I still do shadow work to this day. It blows my mind how much more and more things just come out over time, the more you get to know yourself. There is a point where I think people can go too deep and then they just end up depressed because they don't know what to do with this heavy shadow self, and they feel like, oh my god, I'm such a burden, I am so broken inside, like what do I do about this? It is really challenging, but you know, without pain we don't get any gain. I've talked about this in other videos, especially my depression videos this year, but the people who try to avoid uncomfortable feelings, thoughts, memories, they try to avoid getting to know those deeper parts of themselves, they are so fucking empty. And it's always those people who have so much to say about the way others live their life, the way others behave, because to them they are perfect. But guess what? Sorry, nobody is perfect. We are all deeply flawed human beings. Ancestral DNA trauma, we have trauma from our parents, which is literally unavoidable, because hey, it's your parents' first time on earth too. Imagine how hard it is raising a child. How can we be truly authentic if we don't know these parts of ourselves, and if we don't love and accept them? Getting to know my darker side, it had put me honestly through a lot of depression, anxiety. I'm like, why am I so broken? Why do I have all this pain? Like, I just want this pain to be taken from me. Over time, I've learned to accept that, work through that, integrate it, and it has made me a better individual. Sorry guys, I'm digressing. That is a very lengthy introduction for you. But okay, so where does the shadow self come from? Okay, our shadow self is our wounded self, and this can actually link to attachment theory later on, which I'll make another video on. But everything we get hurt by and we don't shake off or process, it then gets integrated into our shadow self and then drives how we act in life. Now guys, if you need a little bit of help with this, I do therapy. I'm currently seeing a trauma therapist for my CPTSD. If you guys need a therapist, go check out my sponsor today, BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for being my #1 sponsor, my #1 long-term partner. I love you guys. BetterHelp is the biggest online therapy network. They have over 30,000 licensed therapists in the network, ready to help you with whatever you want, whenever you need. All you need to do is fill out a questionnaire, and usually within 48 hours, BetterHelp will have paired you with therapists for you. Now, if you don't like your therapist, you can actually go and switch your therapist afterwards. You just need to scroll through and they'll give you a whole list, and you can read their bio. Maybe one is more spiritual, LGBTQ friendly, whatever. You will find the great therapist, and it's free of charge to change. They also have group therapy sessions, which I love too, on specific topics. So once you've been matched to your therapist, you can then schedule a video call, a call, or you can even message them anytime within the app, which is a feature I absolutely love. Sometimes you're going through it and you can't wait till your appointment and you need to talk to them right now. So guys, go use my link right here to get 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp. What are the ways the shadow self manifests? Jealousy, addiction, depression, promiscuity, anxiety, codependency, creating or being a lot of drama in your life, self-sabotage, power struggles, lies, procrastination, resentment, passive aggressiveness, bitterness, comparison, anger, aggression, rage, violent behaviors, abuse, substance abuse, abuse of others, abuse of yourself, victimization, heavy on that, guilt and shame, reactive discontentment. And if you don't get control of it, it will continue to control your life. The shadow is prone to psychological projection, in which a perceived personal inferiority is recognized as a perceived moral deficiency in someone else. I'm reading my notes. But essentially this means whatever you find annoying in yourself, you're actually going to project that onto someone else and find annoying in them. And that is the first step to getting to know your shadow more. Think about this. Have you ever met someone and you're just so like irritated by them? And you don't know why sometimes. You're just like, why don't I like this person? Why are they irritating? They remind you of yourself. There is something in them that reminds you of yourself. I'll give you an example. I've recently talked in my story about how love, and to want love as a woman, is almost frowned upon nowadays because, sorry, it's so loud, because suddenly women, we have autonomy, we have a sense of power and freedom and rights, which we didn't have before. And we're in this era of like, you know, fuck man, we don't need man. We're a strong, independent woman who can do things ourselves. So if you're a woman and you say, you know what, I want a man, or I want love, people will frown upon you for that. That girl is so obsessed with love. She is so boy crazy. Of course we don't want to be like that, and yeah, we want to focus on ourselves, blah, blah, blah. But it is not a crime to want love. Love is what drives the world. Listen to every song in the world, okay? 98% of songs, they are about love, because we want love. We're humans. We crave it. We want love. There is nothing wrong with that, okay? But I noticed in my friends, and even sometimes myself, if I'm with a girl and she's so like crazy about boys, I am shunning her in my head. I'm like, why are you like this? And you know why? It's because I have been like this. I totally relate, and that part of myself I don't accept. Maybe you feel similarly. I know, like, yeah, there's one of my friends and she absolutely cannot hear about another girl talk about boys, because she's like, ew, like, why? Like, you're a strong, independent woman, just like deal with it, like, just leave men alone. And it's because she is the most boy crazy girl I know. She can't accept that part of herself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But whatever we don't accept in ourselves, we're simply going to project that on others. And that's why people have so much to say about how other people live their life and so little to say about their own, okay? Because we're perfect. We're not. Other areas you can notice your shadow self come out is in triggering situations, okay? If you're in a situation and you just notice yourself getting riled up, or you feel jealousy, reactive, whatever, why do you feel that way? An example, when I was 19, I remember I was with my ex-boyfriend and a couple of his friends, and I remember just feeling like so sad that I left the interaction. And this was actually the first time I ever noticed my shadow self and did shadow work. I felt sad because that guy reminded me, because my boyfriend, who's meant to be the closest person to me, was making me feel alone in a group setting. And in my past, I have always felt that way. I always felt like an outsider. So my shadow self was like really riled up that day. Like, oh, why do I feel this way? Why is the person who's meant to love me the most and I love him the most making me feel this way? And then I was like, wow, this, what trauma I have is still here and I need to work through this. That was the first time when I was 19 I listened to the shadow self. Since then I don't really feel that way as much, because once you can acknowledge that part, you will notice it coming out in other situations. What do you lack self-confidence in? And like, why do you lack self-confidence? Maybe your parents, they were very critical of you. They always made you feel like you needed to be perfect, you needed to do so much. So if you failed at school or you fail at something in life, you feel like you are not worthy of something good. That's an example. That is your shadow self. Your shadow self is saying to you, I don't feel worthy right now, because you're conditioning yourself, oh, I gotta be perfect because my parents said I had to be perfect, so now I don't deserve that, blah blah blah. It manifests in a number of ways. Weak boundaries as well. I had very, very weak boundaries majority of my life, even into my early 20s. But bro, why do I talk like I'm fucking 30? I'm literally 24. Early 20s being like 21, even, yeah, 21. Like, I had no boundaries. And my therapist was like, yo, you need to get some fucking boundaries. Because there was that people pleaser mentality in me. Look, it came from YouTube, doing YouTube at an early age. You gotta make everyone happy. It came from wanting to make my parents happy all the time, wanting to always be perfect at school, perfect at everything. Through that, yeah, I had no boundaries. People wanted me for anything. Hey, I'm here. Even though it's making me depressed, I'm here for you. Your shadow self is like, okay, you feel unworthy of love, you feel unworthy of even friendship, go and do excessive things for others and have no boundaries for ourselves. Guys, I'm being so vulnerable telling you about my past right now. This is a big one, and I want to make a whole video on this, but self-love. A lot of people think they have self-love, but they absolutely don't. And one way that manifests is actually through not doing what's good for you, self-sabotage. You know what you're meant to do, but you just can't do it for whatever reason. And it's because you feel unworthy of it. You feel unworthy of receiving that good. So you hold yourself at this level where you don't really need to improve, and then you feel bad because you're not improving, and it's such a cycle. Another example, maybe you judge a woman's masculine appearance or you judge her masculine behavior. It's because you don't accept your own masculine shadow within yourself, or perhaps you wish you were a little bit more like her. They are a part of you, whether or not you like it. And now I notice when someone's triggering me, I actually just try to send them love instead of listening to my ego project and be like, I don't like this, or I don't like you, because I'm saying I don't like myself. Then I kind of try to accept it and neutrality over the situation. Also, we can look at what triggers us out of proportion. Like, maybe you have a trigger and you know that, hey, this is like kind of unreasonable. Why? That's all, guys. All you need to do in this process, why? Just ask yourself why. Okay, A, write the situation out. Okay, what happened? Oh, my boyfriend let me walk behind him today and it made me feel alone, and now I hate him. Why? Because everyone in my life makes me feel alone, and I thought I found someone who didn't make me feel alone, and he did. Okay, why? You go another layer deeper. In my childhood this happened. Now we can go to specific situations. Who did this to me? And then you can come up with a healing plan for yourself. Okay, in that moment you need to learn to self-regulate. We cannot shun our shadow self. Sometimes we're like, oh my god, why am I like this, right? Like, oh, why am I boy crazy? Why do I want love so much? Why do I want that person to be my friend? Why do I want that? Why do I want even male validation? This is a big one for women. Whether we like it or not, it's so fucking deeply ingrained in us that we want male validation, and I think so many of us, we just shun that. And we should, right? But it's there. It's hard to not want that when we've been raised in a society which just primes us for the male gaze. Other situations, your parents didn't value what you had to say, so you just don't speak up anymore. You think people don't want to hear what you have to say. You think you're unimportant. The reason why you might have big dreams and a lot of people don't believe in you, it's not that they don't believe in you, they don't believe in themselves. And in you, they probably see a version of them that's actually going out and doing things, and they wish that they were doing that, but they can't do it. In my opinion, your shadow self comes out the most when you're in love or you're in a relationship, because that is when you are vulnerable, at your most vulnerable and intimate, and you need to really overcome yourself in order to like give love, receive love, and show yourself to someone else. Just ask yourself why, okay? Also watch that video, okay? I made like a step-by-step one on that. Ask yourself why do you want love? Ask yourself why does this thing bother me? Why do I hate that person? Why? Thank you for watching, guys. I hope to see you very, very soon, and I love you. We're all in this together.